At the edge of Newtown bus stop, right beneath the shaky old bridge, there sat a man who has become part of the scenery. Every morning, with dust on his face and fake trembles in his hand, he will cry,
Bambiala, I no shop since yesterday. Help a homeless man, no brother, no sister, no shelter. Help me, Yenu Kobo.
His voice cracked in perfect suffering notes. His eyes expertly glazed like that of a retired actor. And people pitied him. Some dropped 50 naira, others 200 naira. Some would even hand him a leftover food wrapped in paper. But what they didn't know was he lived in their compound. He was their landlord. Yes, landlord Ezemba, aka landlord of thunder. If only they knew that their cruel landlord is the same beggar they dash money daily under the bridge. Welcome to Ideka African Folktales. Please remember to like our story and comment. Bambiala, Bambiala, Nyenum Kobo. His voice rang out like a broken flute, cracking with just the right dose of helplessness. He sat crouched at the far corner of Newtown bus stop, right beneath the crooked bridge that groaned when trucks passed overhead. With dust cake on his face, hands outstretched and trembling like leaves in harmattan wind, the man wailed and whimpered like his soul was about to break. Bambiala, never chopped since yesterday. Walai, help me. No mama, no papa, no house. I dey suffer. He chanted his sorrow like a hymn, rocking gently, his eyes glossy with what looked like tears. But we are really just well-rehearsed illusions. Passerby paused. Some tossed 50 naira into his rusty plate. Others with a sigh handed over bread, rice wrapped in nylon or barely touched lunch parts. Children will ask their mothers, "Mommy, why is he crying like that?" And mothers will say, "He is one of those forgotten people. God will help him." And if only they knew, this beggar wasn't just a beggar. By nightfall, he stood tall, cleaned up, clothes in Crip's native wear, voice like thunder as they knocked on doors and banged on gates. "Oh yeah, you never pay rent this month oh. By 9 p.m. your mattress go meet you outside oh." Yes, this beggar, landlord Ezemba, known to all his tenants as the landlord of thunder. And the cruel irony, the same people who pitied him by the day fear him by the night. If only they knew. The man they fed under the bridge with their hard-earned money, out of kindness, had no single kindness in him. He was the same cruel landlord collecting their last coin at home. No excuse, no pity. He had once ejected a father with a sick child out of his house because they defaulted payments for the month. They all pleaded, but no, not for Ezema. In the daytime, landlord Ezema would disguise and turn into a beggar. At night, the same man clean up in starched native wear and holding a walking stick like a judge will march from one tenant doors to the next, screaming, "Oya, pay up or pack up, thunder fire delay. Pay up or pack up oh, if you don't pay your rent tonight, your mattress will know the taste of concrete oh. Your mattress go meet you outside oh." Tenant like Mama Doyin, a soft-spoken single mother of three, will plead, "Landlord abeg, market no move this month, I go pay next week." But landlord Ezemba had no chill. "You go sell your eyelash oh if you must, but bring my rent before 12 midnight. Meanwhile, in the morning, Mama Doyin was one of the kind souls who always gave him 100 naira at the tree. sighing in pity at the poor beggar. Then one day, the government remembered the beggars and the lunatics in the streets. Then came Operation Clean the City, a government welfare sweep to rehabilitate beggars, drug addicts, and street lunatics. It was not announced, it was a quiet operation so that no beggar or lunatic would escape. That very day, they came under the bridge, well prepared. They came with camera crews, social workers, very hefty men that looked like King Daniel's Banser, and iron determination. As the poor beggar Ezemba began his usual acting that morning, Bambiala, Nenum Kobo, no brother, no money, Bambi, they bammed him. He was lifted off the ground like the dry firewood. Sir, don't worry, we are government workers. You are going to a better place. We have better shelter for you and good welfare. No, I am not homeless, so I exactly why you need the rehabilitation, sir. You have tenants, but you don't have a good shelter. Delusions are real. I mean, Ezemba stuttered, not finding the right words to cover up his dubious lifestyle. So they put him on the bus with the other lunatics who kept spitting at him and pinching him until they got to the rehab center. No further explanation, no escape. When they got to the rehab center, the facility was clean. It was a massive building with a giant fence that could barricade someone's future. You dare not think of climbing the fence and escaping from there. 1 week you have not finished climbing it, let alone Ezemba in his late 50s. Who will give him the strength to climb the wall? Ezemba was taken to a barber's salon at the facility to be given a haircut, but they were surprised that he had a clean haircut, that it was the wig he wore on his head. So he was cleaned up and given new clothes. There, they were given 3 square meals daily. They taught them tailoring, soap making, pig farming, and the Ezemba learned tailoring work and how to mediate and how to meditate. He even began to smile for real. Meanwhile, back at his home, in his compound, at first there was a confusion. Where is the landlord? Where is the landlord of Thunder? Did he travel? Abi rapture don't carry and leave us? They waited. Days became weeks. Weeks became months. Nobody came to collect rent. Nobody backed at them. The tenants, they flourished. They fixed the leaking pipe together. They mowed the grass. They even formed a cooperative society to raise funds for maintenance. Children play happily, no threats, no backing. Some neighbors said, "This must be what heaven feels like." But one man asked questions. A young man still left with good morals. Young Daniel, a youth copper with values, strong values. He decided to investigate. What if something bad has happened to him? He asked. Others laughed. That devil, may he remain where he is. But Daniel wasn't like others. He began his search, tracing records, asking questions, and finally found landlord Ezemba at the rehabilitation center. He decided to pay him a surprise visit. When Daniel showed up at the rehab center, he saw Ezemba dressed in a faded shirt. He was sewing Ankara pockets onto school uniforms. When the ex-beggar landlord saw Daniel, his eyes watered. Ezemba squinted. "Daniel, you one of my tenants." Daniel nodded almost shyly. "Yes, sir, but I came as a person, not as your tenant, just to know if you are okay." Ezemba blinked fast, like dust entered both eyes at once. No tenant had ever cared like that, not even his own brothers and children. Daniel handed him a small food flask and a bag of biscuits. The same landlord who used to scream, "Bring my rent now muttered, thank you, my son, thank you." "They think I am mad," Eisenbach said the moment Daniel sat beside him. But Daniel chuckled. "No, sir, they think you are a landlord. When a landlord decides to sit with the lunatics and the beggars under the bridge, what is he?" Eisenbach laughed for the first time in a long time. Daniel brought him food, clothes, and reminded him of the people waiting at home. "You can return different. They won't mock you if you change." The word pierced him. 6 months passed. Eisenbach didn't just change clothes, he changed character. He started teaching tailoring to the newer residents. He even led evening prayers, though he still couldn't resist yelling at mosquitoes. He had become softer. One bright Monday morning, a clean taxi stopped at Block 6 Palmview Estate. Out stepped a man in a well-sealed senator wear, holding a small sewing machine and a modest bag. Nobody recognized him at first. Then little Tunde shouted, "Ah, it is landlord!" But he is not rally. People gathered, women gasped, men whispered. He smiled, hands raised like a repentant politician. Eisenbach returned, not as a tyrant, not as a beggar, but as a man changed by shame, silence, and soap making and tailoring. "My people, I have returned, not as a thunder, but as rain, gentle, useful, and necessary." Their mouths dropped open. Eisenbach cancelled 3 months' rent arrears. He offered compound kit free tailoring classes every Saturday. He installed a borehole in his compound using his rehab stipend savings, built a notice board titled Tenant of the Month. People no longer call him landlord of thunder, they call him Papa Palmview. And one day the government welfare team visited looking for success stories from the rehab center. They saw Eisenbach's transformation, the kids he mentored, the small tailoring shop he opened outside the compound. He was given an award, a proof that a wicked man can change. He wept, the tenants clapped, even the gates swept with joy. The moral lesson. Number one, people aren't always what they seem. A beggar can be a landlord can be a beggar. Life wears many masks. Two, power without empathy corrupts. The real strength is in kindness, not cruelty. The third lesson, redemption is possible, even for the worst of us, if humility meets opportunity. Number four, leadership is service. When Eisenbach began serving, he became a legend, not just a landlord. Number five lesson, do good without expectation. Like Daniel, your kindness might be the spark that changes a life. Number six, community thrives on compassion. The tenants once victims became a family in their landlord's absence. And from that day on, when children passed under the Newton Bridge and saw a beggar, they didn't just walk by. They paused, looked closely, and whispered, "You sure say no be our landlord?" Thank you for listening. Please remember to like our story. Bye.